Now the question that is quite irregular is it deals with inequalities. It says find the least number of the terms of the series for which the sum exceeds 79.9. So the sum of n terms exceeds means greater than, it's an inequality, 79.9. So what we have to do over here, we have to find the number of terms or the value of n. So we have to solve inequality over here. So this inequality is a bit different because, so since it is convergent, it is going to be the first term, which is 40, into 1 minus r is half, to the power n divided by 1 minus r greater than 79.9. Remember that the sum of n terms is, for convergent series, sum of n terms is first term multiplied by 1 minus r to the power n divided by 1 minus r. So remember, for convergent series, the sum of n terms is this. So now we have to find the value of n. So let's simplify first. So 40 divided by 1 minus half, 1 minus half is half, 40 divided by half is 80. So this is 1 minus 1 by 2 to the power n and greater than 79.9. If we send the 80 to the other side, it turns out to be 1 minus half to the power n greater than 79.9 divided by 80. Now, if we send the 1 to the other side, it turns out to be minus half to the power n greater than 79.9 by 80 minus 1. Now, it turns out to be 79.9 divided by 80 minus 1. So this is minus 1.25 minus 1.25 into 10 to the power minus 3. So that's what it is. Now we have this negative, we can cancel off the negative. And remember, when you cancel off the negative in an inequality, the inequality reverses. So it will, from greater than, it will become less than, always reading from the left. So this would be 1.525 into 10 to the power minus 3. By the way, 1.25 into 10 to the power minus 3 is the same as, you can also write it as decimal 0.00125. It's the same thing. We don't have to write it as the standard form. Now, difference here is that this is an exponential or a logarithmic inequality. In order to find this, we have to use the logarithmic rule. Remember the logarithmic rule. If you have a to the power x equals to b, then x equals to log base ab. Then we have to change the base to common base, which is log base 10b divided by log base 10a. We don't have to write down the base 10. It is understood if you don't write anything. So here, in order to solve this inequality, we have to use logarithm. So n is less than log base half 0.00125. Then it would be n is less than log 0.00125 divided by log half. So what we have done over here is change the base. Now we can use the calculator. So log 0.00125 divided by log half, let me write it as 0.5, and that turns out to be 9.64. So n is less than 9.64. Now you have to remember, n is the number of terms. It has to be a positive integer. When we count something, it is always a natural number. So they mention find the least value of n. Least value means if n is less than 9.6, if it is like this, less than 9.6, so it could be 9, it could be 8, it could be 7, it could be anything. But the problem is they said least value, but the least value does not end. If you remember, it's a natural number, it's a positive integer, So from 9.64, the least value keeps on going on. 6, how do you take the smallest value? Least value means smallest value. So this is the problem. You have to remember, when you do this type of inequality, it cannot be a fraction. You cannot do the logarithm if it's a fraction, otherwise it's not going to work by the logic of the sum. So this is the major difference that you have to remember. What you have to do from here, you have to make sure this half becomes an integer, 2 to the power minus 1. That means 0.00125, that means 2 to the power minus n is less than 0.00125. Therefore, if we do the logarithm right now, minus n is less than log base 2.00125. So now minus n is less than, if we change the base, log 0.00125 divided by log 2. Now if we use the calculator, what turns out to be is log 0.00125 equals to this divided by log 2 equals to, this is minus 9.64. So this turns out to be minus n is less than minus 9.64. Now if we cancel the negative again, it becomes greater than 9.64. So this is the major difference. You have to make sure that this is not a fraction, you make it into an integer, and then the value, the proper value, is not this one, which is n is less than 9.64, because otherwise it's not going to work. N has to be greater than 9.64. So now it makes complete sense. Now if you write down that you have 9.64 and n, which is a positive integer, is greater than that, it can be 10, it can be 11, it can be 12, it can be 13, and on and on. It keeps increasing. But they mentioned over here the least number of terms. So the smallest one is 10. So the answer is going to be answer n equals to 10.